Welcome to Resilience Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Osterlink. This show is about building better humans, institutions, and systems. On the show, I'll be interviewing many different experts from across many different fields, including human optimization, health and fitness, team building, mind-body medicine. In the institutional space, we're looking at different institutions and how we can create new ones, new models and maps, including in medicine, in education, in intelligence community, in law enforcement, in the military, especially in the special operations community. Thanks for being here and enjoy the show. Welcome, Stu Smith, former Navy SEAL and tactical fitness coach. He's going to present his new book, The Never Quit Mindset, as an action plan for cultivating resilience. The book blends mental frameworks, daily physical challenges, and lessons from the Stoic philosophies to show that toughness isn't just a trait you're born with. It's a skill you can develop. It's built around 10 pillars, from embracing discomfort and managing self-doubt to stress mitigation and building habits. The book equips readers with practical tools for facing adversity and thriving in any pursuit. Welcome back, Stu.
Hey, good to see you, Mo. What's new?
Yeah, man, we were just talking a little bit offline that it's probably like 15 years ago you're on my podcast.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while. It's great to see you. I'm very excited about your new book.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like, just as an introduction to you, for anyone who unfortunately doesn't know you, they should know you. Who's Stu Smith? Tell us a little bit of background that led you to. You've written like 1,000,000 books.
I've written a lot of.
Yeah.
I've written a lot. I
Yeah.
basically work out and write about it. Is what I do. I before that I went to the Naval Academy and graduated. Became a Navy SEAL officer after I did my time at the Naval Academy. I did 8 years in the military. I didn't stay in for a career. It was a weird time. 99 is when I got out. It was pre 9/11 and not a whole lot going on in the world. And I wanted to have family. Who got married, had 2 kids. Now those kids are out of college and one's married, and so it's just life moves on. And I didn't miss a thing. So I'm very fortunate to be around for that. And
Well,
yeah.
Before we jump into the Never Quit Mindset, can you just share some of the other amazing books you've written too? We talked about a few of them on a previous previous
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
15 years ago. But tell us, just so the listening audience and viewing audience will know some of the other things you've also written as well.
Yeah, for about 26 years now, I have been working out and writing about it, coming up with some book ideas. And they're not necessarily your normal books like you would read a novel. They're just workout books, like, Navy SEAL workouts or Air Force Special Warfare workouts, the Army PFT workout, pretty much anything with a fitness test required to enter. It has a phase 1 of tactical fitness, I call it, focusing on getting into the training. And then there's a phase 2 as a part of the programs that you just saw that help you prepare to get through the training, whether that's a boot camp, an academy, a special ops selection, whatever that is. I have answers for anything with a fitness test and a selection behind it. And there's over 40 of them. 40 different titles. And I write articles every week for military.com and for my own site, StuSmithFitness.com. And this is my first attempt at a book that is not a workout book, but it is a mental workout book.
Well, before we jump into that book, we were talking offline, and I thought this was so cool. I want you to share it. Besides, people can read the book who want to go in a particular branch, in a particular special operations, unit within a particular branch. You also train people in person.
Yes.
And you train people from a wide variety of interests in different branches, different units and stuff. Can you talk about some of the training you offer, how that works, where you are, and how,
Yeah.
who comes to you and what do they get?
Well, I always say the motivated find me. And what does that mean? I have a program here. It's called the Heroes of Tomorrow. And I've been doing it for 25 years.
Nice.
Probably 22 years officially, as like 6 days a week. I started off at weekends and a couple of days a week. And now do 6 days a week. We do after morning at 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. swims in the afternoon. Um, and I train people who want to serve and military, law enforcement, firefighter, special ops. I'd say majority of the folks are wanting to do some kind of next level training. So you might have a police officer wants to do SWAT team
SWAT.
training, or you have um, an army guy wants to go to ranger school, or we get a lot of kids that want to go straight into spec ops as well. So that's what I have answers for them, and we do training for all of it and prepare them to get to and through those training programs. And it doesn't cost them a dime. It's a free program, and everybody wins for this one. I always like to say is they get free training. I get ideas as a coach. I get ideas to write about as a coach, and that's my business is working out and writing about it. I sell articles, I sell books. But if you're coming here to train with me, it doesn't cost you anything. And, but they're basically my workouts. I just invite people to come join,
That's awesome.
if they want to serve. So, or
Right, right,
already
right.
have served. We have some veterans that are in the area that join us too, and they are able to join us as mentors in that program as well.
Cool. And this is in person in the Annapolis area.
Yep, in person,
Yeah.
6 a.m. Outdoor
Right.
workouts year round.
All right. Now, what if someone's like in a different country or a different state? And they don't necessarily, can they work with you one on one virtually, or is it all in person in
Well,
Annapolis?
all the nonprofit stuff is here locally.
Okay. Okay.
I do have a couple of other trainers around the nation. And if
Okay.
if you look on that heroesoftomorrow.org page, you'll see a list of cities and states that have
Nice.
trainers like me, um, who donate some time every week. They may not donate 12, 15 hours a week like I do.
Like you do.
Like for me, it's kind of a uh, what's a good word? Research and development arm of my Stu Smith Fitness, because I come up with new
Right. Right.
ideas, I come up
Yeah.
with new systems, and then I write about it, and they become books later. Um, but they're out there donating swim time or track time, whatever their specialties are, they tend to do that. And we have some former military that do it, and some are just coaches that want to help kids that want to serve. So
Nice.
it's a good program, and it's something that I have found a passion and a mission to do.
Yeah.
Been doing it for almost 25 years.
That's a long time. Good
Yeah.
on you, and good for those who are able to go through your program and then serve our great country. So, all right. So your book, the Never Quit Mindset. So what makes the book different than other kind of training programs and tactical training programs and mindset work? Why is yours
Um,
unique?
well, you know what? I mean, all of these programs that I write, they're basically they're just folding books with workouts in them, right? And you just lay it out and you do the workout. This one isn't like that. This one is an actual book that you read, and you have some reference items to do if you're feeling like you're doubting your abilities, or you're fearing failure, or you got intrusive thoughts that are interfering with your sleep. That's the kind of stuff um that's in there. And we all experience it. We are all human, and I think just having something real quick reference, that you don't have to go through 1,000 pages to try to find it. It's right there in a couple of chapters for you. It's just a good tool to have in your backpack, for when you have a need for a little bit more confidence in your
I-
abilities.
Is that why you call it an action plan? Because people actually need to be doing the work as opposed to
Yeah,
just mental masturbation, reading about it, but they actually have to
yeah,
implement
yeah.
it in their lives.
I would say the never quit mindset is by far something that is needed in everything. However, getting started is even more important,
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
doesn't matter if you haven't don't have a never quit mindset or have one at all. If you're not getting started on those big projects and big goals and things like that, um, it's not going to go in your direction anyway. So this is very much a getting started plan as it is, once you're started, keep going, you know, and build some of that consistency and, kill that doubt and build some confidence with you.
And I imagine, I mean, we've started this conversation about your work with first responders, law enforcement, military. A never quit mindset, although very useful for that group of people, I would imagine it's useful for all human beings, especially people in the business world, maybe entrepreneurs as one
Oh,
example.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I
Yeah.
consider myself an entrepreneur. I've been
Yeah.
self-employed for 26 years now,
Right.
and
Right.
I call myself certifiably unemployable. Right? And I love what I do, and I'm gonna
Right
keep
on.
doing it.
I
And,
love it.
um, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that I find that I if you can get started, that's the key to everything. And, and you may be wondering, like, what do I even wanna get started with? How do I set a goal?
Right. Right.
Right? What is resonating with me? And, and there's little gems in here like, if you can't stop thinking about it, don't stop working towards it.
Oh, nice.
There's just a
Okay.
bunch just a bunch of little,
Yeah. Gems.
I quote the Stoics a lot in here because I think they have a way of concisely explaining huge problems and topics in a sentence.
Right on.
And, I find, Marcus Aurelius and Plato and all those guys to be very, very useful, especially to the young brain that might need uh, a short sentence versus a whole chapter.
Which I would imagine with technology is as it is these days, and people's attention spans diminished.
Yes.
Having something that people can look to inspire and motivate them, even if it's a sentence, is even a good thing if they don't have the time to read, the meditations.
Yeah. It's a classic book.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but, I implore people to read it, in this book and, Ryan Holiday's books as well. And,
right, right.
so I think that's a good way to try to start setting a mindset, even though, Marcus Aurelius is not known for a never quit mindset, right? I think he pretty much embodies it,
Mhm.
before the term even was invented.
Yeah.
It
So one of the things you talk about in your book is being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And would you mind sharing an example from your own life, how that's played up for you and led you to teach that for other people?
Yeah, I'm not sure who came up with that, but I remember when I first heard it, and it was from a Navy SEAL instructor. And I had already gotten through SEAL training, and I think we were working with some aspiring candidates who were getting ready to go. And he made that statement, and I was just like, man, that is some really good stuff. I never really thought about it. But, my own story with getting comfortable being uncomfortable was it was like day 4 of Hell Week. We've been up for 4 days. You're wet, you're sandy, you haven't gone to sleep, and we're on this race. It's like a 12-hour race to get from around the island of Coronado. It's considered an island, but you look at it, it looks like a peninsula, but
Mm.
evidently there's a little inlet there that makes it an
An
island.
island.
So anyway, so you're paddle around this island from the bay side all the way around to the Bud's compound, and we were the first boat in, right? And we didn't we had no idea. We were hallucinating the whole trip, and it was just we didn't know we were winning or anything. So we pull up and we're winning, and they're like, "Hey, you guys won. Looks like the last boat cruise like a couple of hours behind you." I'm like, "Dang, all right." So that meant we get to rest, right? And they said, "Just dig a hole, put the boat over you, and just get up under there." So we dig this hole about a foot deep in the sand with our paddles. We lay this boat on top of us, and we're just spooning in this underneath this little shelter. and we're wet, we're sandy, the pillow is a pillow of sand in your ear, and I just remember thinking, "Man, I don't think I've ever been this comfortable in my life." Right? And I remember actually having that thing. I said, "This is so comfortable. This is awesome." And I just realized at that point that I have
Oh,
kind of
gee.
gone back to this caveman mode of just, appreciating just a rare moment of comfort, even though any other time in my life being wet and sandy under a boat would have been completely uncomfortable and not a good time. But at that
Yeah.
moment, we were, our body heat was under that boat. We were warm. It was just a weird moment that, and it really, when I first heard that saying, that's immediately the thought that I had when we had kind of gone so hard that we just went back into this caveman mode. And I tell you what, to this day, it still makes, sitting in my chair watching TV
Mm.
with a little
Mhm.
blanket on me, while I'm flicking channels, I'm sitting there like, man, this is really comfortable. I really appreciate this. Oh,
Nice. Yeah.
so it just gives you a little attitude of gratitude whenever you're not wet and sandy and you're actually enjoying a moment of real comfort. But
Right, right,
yes,
right.
mental tough. I would define mental toughness as, and physical toughness to that matter, being comfortable when you're uncomfortable.
Yes. And so how would one cultivate that skill or capacity
Well, there's a
without
lot of
having to become a SEAL?
well,
Push
yeah,
your
yeah. Well,
buttons.
there's a lot of ways I think you can do it. And I think a lot of people coach, you got to go do hard things. You got to go
Mm.
push yourself to the limits and push yourself past exhaustion, push yourself past, um, breaking. I always say there's a fine line between mental toughness and stupidity,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
I define that by, if you're breaking yourself and now you can't go do the things that you were doing for 6 months or whatever, you gotta get surgery or you gotta rest a bad hip or whatever, that has gone into the stupid thing, and did you really make yourself tougher? I always say when these guys go there's a group of guys I coach, and there's this tradition for them to go do this 100-mile race every year once they get to this point. I don't know who started it, but it wasn't me. And I always say that's one of the stupidest things I ever heard, but you guys go ahead, right? It's just, in fact, I always always share with them. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. We're gonna see in 5 weeks who's run the most miles, because I'm gonna run 25 miles this week, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after. Right? In 1 month, we'll probably be tied because you're gonna go hit this 100 miles this first weekend, and you won't be able to run for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm going to have 30 days of waking up at 5:30 a.m., rain or shine, going to run, and I get this little scoop of mental toughness one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. And what you're going to do is you're going to go get kicked in the nuts
Yeah, yeah.
and one big shot. And yeah, you may see Jesus while you're there and, have all these, you know, very real, um, toughness moments,
Yeah.
and which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, what way is better? What
Mhm.
what is better? Is it, you doing this once and getting hurt, or you doing it every day for the next 30, 40 days and see who's done more? So it's just been a little debate that I've had with people. Um, that, I've seen getting comfortable being uncomfortable done both ways. And I think there's a spectrum, right? There's somewhere in the middle where you can go hardcore and get yourself hurt. You can go every day and be consistent and work on your consistency and discipline. versus getting hurt and then being depressed and being a bad patient and re-injuring it, and there's somewhere in the middle there that I think
Hmm, hmm.
might be the perfect answer. But
Which is a great segue because I want to ask you about recovery, rest and recovery.
yeah.
Because a lot of people, and I know you're on Instagram, and I believe Instagram and other places like that. I encourage people to check you out. I'll include links into what you do. But on occasion, I'll watch other influencers, as they're called, and all I hear is push, 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 push. And I'm like, oh, they're going to push these fucking people off the edge. Yeah, I mean, if you're young, you can recover. You get a little bit older, it's a little harder. You're old like us, it's even harder.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, talk to us about recovery, rest and recovery, and why that's an important part of a never quit mindset.
Well, I will say chapter 8 is all about stress mitigation.
Yeah.
And you have we have some natural tools at our disposal to help us deal with stress. And whether that is work stress, emotional stress, relationship stress, physical stress, stress is stress. It doesn't matter if you can't pay a bill at the end of the month or you got bullets flying over your head, stress hormones are flowing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And how do you deal with that? Well, you deal with it through nutrition and eating good foods, not crap foods. You need plenty of fruits and vegetables with antioxidants. You need proteins with amino acids. Um, all of those are going to help you balance out those hormones nutritionally. And breathing, you're a big proponent of just learning how to breathe. We breathe every moment of our life, and we should get good at it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And learn how to breathe to down regulate and relax and use it as a tool to help you fall asleep, because sleep is our number one recovery tool. I would say nutrition is number two, if not tied at 50-50. Um, and just learning to relax, by using these natural tools that we have to help yourself recover from whatever stress you're going through, whether it's hard physical stress because you're an athlete or preparing for these spec ops jobs. We all need to rest. We all need a
Mhm.
rest day. Um, we need to focus on our mobility and flexibility,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
That's really big. Me as an old guy who, does mobility, when I first started it, I did it because my hips hurt so bad I couldn't run on our long run days. So I said, I'm going to go inside, ride the bike, do some stretching. And then that turned into more people joining me because they had shin splints or tendonitis, new runners coming in with little aches and pains. And then I just said, all right, we're all going to do this because here's what I'm noticing. One, this little day in the middle of the week is helping us recover from two hard workouts that we did before, and it's going to make our next two or three workouts even better.
Right. Right. Right.
Right here in the middle of the week, we're doing this mobility day, and I created this when I was 45, when I thought I was done running.
Mm.
And that was 11 years ago, and I'm still running, 25, 30 miles a week in our on our
Damn.
high mileage weeks, with no pain. And
Oh,
I
that's good.
walk
That's
out of
good.
the gym. I walk out of the gym now, especially on mobility days, and I have no pain, which is life changing,
That's
because
great.
I went into this thinking I needed to, like, stop running altogether. Right? I just like, maybe I'll just start swimming and doing yoga. Well, it turned into basically me getting on a bike for 5 minutes and stretching, doing yoga poses for 5 minutes, and I do that for an hour. 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 5 minutes
Okay.
on, 5 minutes off.
Gotcha.
And that's my mobility day. And it changed my life. And now I sell it to the young guys as ways for them to, one, reduce some injuries,
Yep.
prevent some injuries. But that's kind of a hard one to sell, because
To
you're
young
like,
guys.
you know what I mean? It's like, how do you know you're preventing an injury? You always get somebody who's smart like that who asks that question. I'm like, good question. Statistically speaking, we could figure out the math, but you're right. That's a hard one to quantify. However, Here's where you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference in your hip, knee, ankle, and shoulder mobility, which will in turn be noticed in the pool when you're gliding, when you're swimming,
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
streamlined
Hmm.
body position, your
Right, right,
kick,
right.
whenever you're doing an egg beater kick or a scissor kick, you're missing out. Because I noticed this once when I was coaching treading, and this is why I love coaching people, because I see people failing something. I'm like, why are they failing this test? It's a tread test that the military uses. And then I look at them, I'm like, well, you're treading right, but it looks like you're just missing out on like 50% of a range of motion of your hips, knees, and ankles
Mhm.
that are not producing enough downward force so you stay up. So just by that alone, I now sell it to the young guys of like, this is why you need to this is why you need to do mobility day with me, the old guy, because it's going to make you a better swimmer, it's going to make you a better treader, you're going to have better water confidence, and you're going to feel better when you run and better stride and all that. So that is that is one of the joys I find by doing these workouts and having people to coach. I I find new reasons to be a better coach.
That's great. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I would say that was one of my breakthroughs I had about 10 years ago. And in fact, it even motivated me to write a different book, which I might have it over here. Yeah, the Tactical Fitness Over 40. Right?
Oh,
I wrote
uh-oh.
that when I was 45.
I might need that. Yep.
I wrote that when I was 45, and when I turned 55, I wrote The Ageless
Oh,
Athlete. So it's
nice.
fitness over
Okay.
50. And really the difference is between the two is my 40 and over has a mobility day in the middle of the week. That's really the difference, and it has some progressions in it, and it's very very progressive, 4 stages in it to you get to advanced levels. It's about a year-long process. This one has 2 mobility days in it.
Okay.
A
Oh,
week,
okay.
and it is next level. And like everybody who's doing it is just like, man, I had no idea how much I love mobility day. And so I tell people all the time, if you do nothing, even if you don't buy one of these, add a mobility day into your week. In fact, I give it away for free. You can just Google Stu Smith Mobility Day. You'll
Okay.
find 10 articles written on it, how to do it,
Nice. Nice.
how to put
Okay.
it into your week. You do your workout, whatever you're doing, whatever program you're on, just add that. And I promise you, it will be life changing.
I'll just share with you because my doctor has been encouraging me to add a lot more mobility because I keep, the stuff going on as an
Oh,
older
yeah.
dude. One of the things I've added in, which I found, and I've been doing this for quite a while that I really enjoy, is actually dancing.
Mm,
I love hip hop. I grew up
fun.
on rap.
Yeah.
So no one watches. Like I don't do it with anyone else else around, but actually I find it's a nice way to loosen myself up in preparation for a workout.
Well, I like that. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more jumping lately too, like
Oh yeah.
like hopping.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like I'm doing a jump rope, but I
Yep.
don't have a jump rope in my hand. I'm just jumping.
Right on.
And I just read a study on that, how that helps with bone density,
Yeah. Right.
especially for aging populations and women as they're getting into it. And yeah, yeah, I can see how dancing would be a component because
Yeah.
you kind of bounce a little bit, when you're
You're
dancing.
moving around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it. Oh, that's cool.
Look.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be my 60s. Yeah, it'll be
Exactly.
about 60 and over. I'm just going with my audience is just evolving with me.
Well, actually, speaking of that, you've been doing this. I think you said like 26 years or so. Are you noticing anything generationally different, like when you first started, and then 5 years in, and 10 years in, 15 years in, 20 years in, 25, 26 years in?
Like with the kids that I'm
Yeah.
training, like because I
Yeah.
do see a lot of young kids. I see a good amount of teenagers and early 20s,
Mhm.
and I've been seeing that for decades now. And I will say this: people who show up at 6 o'clock in the morning with me, um, have a different level of want to in
Yeah.
it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
always
Yeah.
tell people, like, you can't measure someone's heart, but when you put an alarm clock next to a bed and they don't hit snooze until they miss it, and they show up, and we do this outdoors, so it's rain or
Yeah, yeah,
shine
yeah,
and warm and cold, and, um, there's just a level of, like I said, that little scoop of mental toughness that has to get scooped and put into your shaker glass every morning by just getting up, going to this workout, getting out of your car, going to go do the workout and doing it well, jumping into a pool. So probably one of the worst things for me to do is like jumping into a pool first thing in the morning. It's just not natural. And
yeah.
I have little tricks to do it. That's something I talk about is like I look at my clock on my watch. When that second hand hits the 60, I go. Right?
Okay,
It's just like,
okay,
okay,
automatic.
like,
Yeah,
oh crap, I got 3 seconds. Oop, got to jump in. So it's just one of those things where, half of the never quit mindset is just getting started.
yeah.
You
Which
know,
was
you
you mentioned earlier. Yeah.
can't have a never quit mindset unless you get started. So try to help people with two things really is getting started and just keep going on that goal, keep digging and keep pushing.
Where do
You know.
goals come in? Outcomes you're seeking into this whole process for you for a never quit mindset.
Well, I do have a chapter 6, setting lofty long-term goals multi-year,
Uh huh.
right? It's great to have a goal of like, hey, in a month I want to lose 5 pounds. That's a logical goal. You have a time into it, you have a numerical value to it, and maybe you just add a reason why you want to do that. You want to fit in some clothes you haven't fit in very long, and you have your 30th reunion coming up. You know,
Right, right, right.
whatever reason why. It's kind of those three things you kind of need to have a goal. Um, and I've always liked to have multi-year goals. I think a 5-year plan
Mm,
throughout your life um, needs to be something we all do, and I discussed that a little bit, and even discuss my own. In there of just saying that this is what I want to do. I've been doing this for a while. I enjoy doing this. This is my passion. This is my mission. And, I want to keep making programs in my 60s, in my 70s,
nice.
and I think it's just fun. I enjoy doing it. And, as long as I will do this as long as I can remain relevant, and it seems like I always have somebody that I'm coaching, a new generation comes up. But, to answer your question, I haven't seen it.
Mm,
The generation that the older generation always talks about being like undisciplined and,
uh.
they're on video games all the time. And, it was the same thing that when I was going through buds, the Vietnam vets who were our
Mm,
instructors called us the MTV generation of the 80s.
okay.
Right,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
right.
yeah.
Which, as you remember, the MTV generation was just nothing but music videos, and
Yeah.
that's what you watch music videos. It was cool. Um, so I find it funny that I think all the way back from ancient Greek times, the older generation has been worried about the younger generation, and you know, I'm not that older generation because I see a group of
You're not
people
worried.
who give me hope for the future. To be honest with you, it's just the opposite. I see a group of people who are dedicated to serving, something greater than themselves.
No.
Um, and they don't mind working hard. They understand it's a long-term process. I have people who train with me for over a year, sometimes
Yeah.
more. Um, to get to their goal, and they're not satisfied until they reach a certain level, um because they see it, they see the guys that are before them that have left and they made it, and
Uh-huh.
that kind of takes away the impossibility factor in their
Right,
brain,
right, right.
and they say, well, I need to get to where that guy was, and I'm not there yet, so I need to work a little harder. And that is who I see every day for the last
That's
25
awesome.
years.
It's gotta be
And
really inspirational.
it's like I said, it gives me hope for the future, and it
Yeah.
didn't matter if they knew they were going to war right when they signed up, you know, and the numbers haven't changed any, whether it was war or peace. People have been wanting to serve for forever, and somehow they find me, and I'm
Well,
I'm I'm grateful for that.
speaking of finding you, how do they find you? How do they
Well,
find your books
I would
and your
say most
programs?
people most people probably find me on the Google machine or Stu Smith fitness. I post a lot of videos out there that are just over the internet about coaching spec ops swimming and
Yeah,
treading and things like
right.
that. So people hear about that, they find it, they get the books, they say, "Oh, he's got a coaching program in Maryland," and then people reach out to me and say, I do a couple podcasts and live Q&As every week um, up on YouTube, and it's people find me that way. So yeah,
Well, I definitely encourage folks to check you out, depending who you are and even your age. Check out his books, age
Mhm.
specific. Or if you want to go into, law enforcement, various military branches, special units, you have them. I think you said 40 books.
Over
Yeah.
40. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow, that is awesome.
yeah.
Got it all covered. And military.com, and you also write for them as well.
Yeah, I write 3 articles a week for them, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
so I,
Stu,
I got thousands of articles out there. So seriously,
you do.
ask a question to the Google machine and put my name in it, and I've probably written an article
You've
about
written
it.
about it. Yeah. Well, hey, Stu, it's great to catch up with you again. It's been,
Yeah,
God, like at least, what, 15 years or so.
yeah,
So,
at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome on the show. I appreciate the time we spent talking together. Congratulations on the Never Quit Mindset book.
Thank you.
Definitely encourage folks to check it out. And hopefully, we don't have to wait another 15 years to have you back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it again.
Definitely. Thanks, Stu. Good to see you, bud.
Thank you.